Not every wrestler stays the same forever. Some, like Hulk Hogan, have maintained roughly the same look over the years, but most have traded in their wild antics for a completely different look. Here are some wrestling icons who don't look anything like they once did. The Rock. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has certainly made a few image and style changes since he first stepped into the ring in 1996. In his first bout, the future Hollywood star went by the name Rocky Maivia, and fans reacted to the guy by booing their hearts out. It's not hard to see why fans didn't take a shine to the future king of Hollywood right away. His costume featured a tasseled checkerboard cape with feathers, and what The Rock himself described as a chia pet on his head. It wasn't long before Johnson ditched the Rocky Maivia gimmick. He changed his ring name to simply The Rock and switched to regular trunks, $5,000 shirts, and black elbow pads. Fans immediately embraced the new persona, and Johnson went on to become the Hollywood icon he is today. Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho has always been something of a rockstar wrestler. He actually fronts the band Fozzy, so that description isn't just a figurative one. While today he proves he's a rockstar by, well, being one, in WCW, he let his glorious hair define his look. Even though Jericho has since cut his hair, he keeps up the hard rocker persona, both in the ring and out of it. The Undertaker. Most wrestlers tone down their look as the years pass. Mark Calloway, on the other hand, just gets weirder and weirder. Back when he first came onto the professional wrestling scene, he was known as Texas Red, and looked absolutely nothing like he does now. His next gimmick was Master of Pain, followed by Mean Mark Callis in WCW. Calloway eventually arrived in the then WWF and finally became The Undertaker we all know and fear, complete with his signature black fedora. He remains literally the only dude who can pull that look off. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Even if you don't follow wrestling, you probably know who Steve Austin is. Stone Cold Steve has been a wrestling icon for years, but he didn't start out bald and bearded. His original persona came with a clean-shaven face, long blonde hair, and the name Stunning Steve. He joined a tag team known as the Hollywood Blondes alongside Brian Pillman, where their locks were something of a centerpiece. Stunning Steve didn't catch on with fans though, and neither did his hair, which he cut to a relatively normal length before becoming the ringmaster in WWF. He soon shaved it all off and became Stone Cold Steve Austin in 1996, as a means of permanently separating himself from ringmaster. Triple H. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, better known simply as Triple H, went through some major changes on his way to becoming an executive vice president for WWE, a position he currently holds as of the making of this video. Triple H entered the ring in 1992 as Terrorizing, but soon moved into the persona of Jean-Paul Levesque, a hoity-toity French-Canadian aristocrat who debuted in 1994. Triple H adopted a few more gimmicks before finally entering the business world in 2010 as a short-haired, suit-wearing executive for WWE. Goldust. While most wrestlers change their gimmicks over time, they tend to at least look a little like they once did. That can't be said for Dustin Runnels, who began his career performing as Dustin Rhodes in 1988. Rhodes wore flashy clothes and had bleached blonde hair, but the look didn't have much memorable flair. That may be why he eventually altered his gimmick into his current persona, Goldust, where he can't help but be memorable. Even Runnels' Goldust look has gone through some pretty drastic changes. These days he tends to wear a skin-tight black and gold bodysuit with matching face paint. But he's also come out in a full gold suit while sporting a blonde wig and all sorts of accessories. Then there was this artist formerly known as Goldust days, where he was certainly memorable, but in all the wrong ways. Kane. Kane is one of the more enduring characters in WWE history, but he started his career with a much different look. When he first hit the mat for the WWF, he did so as Isaac Yankem, DDS Jerry the King Lawler's private dentist. Yep, as a wrestling dentist, Yankem wore a white doctor's shirt with black wrist braces. He had a dirty blonde mullet of curly hair, a goatee, and what had to be the nastiest looking teeth on the planet. Glenn Jacobs only held on to the dentist gimmick for a year before transitioning into Kane, and he's kept the same look ever since. Jesse the Body Ventura. Former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura wasn't always the stringy-haired politician / conspiracy theorist we know today. He got his start professionally as a wrestler back in the 1970s. Fans knew him as The Body, and he entered the ring with a pretty flashy look. When he wasn't wearing a pink suit, he liked to accessorize with a feather boa. You could try making fun of him, but he was a Navy SEAL before becoming a wrestler, so tease at your own risk. Not to mention he's a, well...
This stuff will make you a sexual tyrannosaurus, just like me.
Scott Steiner. Few professional wrestlers have gone through the kind of physical transformation Scott Steiner has. When he first began wrestling in the 80s, he looked like an all-American poster boy wrestler. These days, he doesn't look anything like he did when he was younger. Now in his mid-50s, Steiner's packed on even more muscle, prompting plenty of steroid accusations. Big Papa Pump also chopped off the mullet and replaced it with, what else? A chainmail hat. Papa Shango. Although Charles Wright debuted in 1991 as Sir Charles, his most famous persona was Papa Shango, a voodoo practitioner who carried a skull, which he would use to manipulate the lights in the arena. Magic. As gimmicks go, Papa Shango did look pretty cool. His face was painted to look like a skull, and he wore a ridiculous hat with a feather in it. Though he's mostly retired now, most fans know Wright as the Godfather. A pimp looks so completely different from Shango. Most people probably wouldn't even recognize him as the voodoo practitioner, although he never did give up the silly hat. Johnny B. Bad. These days, Mark Miro doesn't look anything like a wrestler. He founded a non-profit called Champion of Choices, an anti-bullying group, and has spent most of his time looking like a regular guy. But when he premiered as a professional wrestler back in 1991, he didn't look like a regular anything. He was Johnny B. Bad, a villainous spoof on Little Richard. Bad came onto the scene with shoulder-length hair, a mustache, and a fabulous attitude. Miro continued to perform as Johnny B. Bad until he retired from the ring in 2006 and started focusing entirely on motivating kids. Bull Nakano. Bull Nakano had a unique look that can only be described as someone you don't hire as a babysitter. With her spiked hair and blue, veiny lines painted all over her face, she looked like she jumped out of a Mortal Kombat game and decided to moonlight as a professional wrestler. Comparing Nakano then to her image now, you'd never guess they were the same person. She left professional wrestling and became a professional golfer, even qualifying for the LPGA in 2006. Now that's a serious career change. Thanks for watching. Click the grunge icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this cool stuff we know you'll love too.